Hey everybody, welcome to Neil Talks. My name's Neil and it's time to talk more QI. And I figured since this was the first episode of the new year, we should look at new beginnings for QI by going all the way back to the very beginning. And not just see the first televised episode, but let's watch the unaired pilot, a true pilot, where they actually tested this format out as an idea that they may sell to a television network and end up producing. So this is all about proof of concept. I see from the thumbnail that the set is different, but it'll be curious to see how dialed in the format was, how awkward Stephen Fry was as the host, all of these sorts of things. I'm just really curious to see how it felt in those early days and see how much it's changed and evolved since then. So I don't know who the guests are. I believe I've heard, and I'm not sure if this is 100% true or not, that Alan Davies wasn't the permanent fixture in the pilot that he ended up becoming. He was just I'm not even positive he's in this, but I feel like if he is, he's just a guest. And then they decided after the pilot to make him a permanent fixture. Am I right, or have I totally misunderstood that situation? But I think that's my understanding of the whole situation. So he's just another guest like anybody else. And that'll be an interesting dynamic. That'll be a little different. And no further thoughts. Let's jump into it. This is the unaired pilot of QI. Oh, they got the music already. But they don't have the opening credits. Much simpler set. They don't have the logo quite right yet.
QI, where the answers are much more exciting than the questions, but the questions are completely impossible. Let's meet our class of quite interesting contestants. Alan Davies, Bill Bailey, Kit Hesketh-Harvey and Eddie Izzard.
Oh, okay, I know Eddie. I don't know the fourth guy, and obviously Bill Bailey.
You may know that the Gibraltarian Minister of Tourism is called Joe Holiday, and that the Archbishop of Manila goes by the name of Cardinal Sin. Alan goes, Bill goes, Kit goes, and Eddie goes. 10 points then for the right answer, 2 points for an answer which is wrong but quite interesting, and minus 10 points for a wrong answer, which is written down here. First question, who or what is Bobo Fing?
Bobo Fing.
The bass player in Boney M. If that's on there, I'm leaving.
The answer is a language spoken in Mali, where 10,000 people are fluent in Bobo Fing, not to be confused with Burkina Faso, where they speak just Bobo, or Tanzania, where more than 10 million people speak Gogo. King Arthur's famous sword was called Excalibur.
Yes.
What was the name of his less well-known lance?
Hole in one.
No.
A lot.
Excalibur isn't actually the original name of the sword. I happen to know that in the oldie English, in Arthur's time, he wouldn't have called it Excalibur.
No.
He would have called it Caliburn.
Certainly 10 points to you for knowing the original name of Excalibur.
I'll tell you something else too, quite interesting.
Please do.
When Paul Daniels
Stop it now.
recreated
The magician?
throwing... His body was sent out on a raft.
What, Paul Daniels?
No. King Arthur and it was burning, and then he's supposed to sink down. And then legend has it that his chainmail fist came up holding Excalibur out of the water. Paul Daniels recreated this on his Saturday evening magic show. People would come up and try and get the sword out of the stone, but they couldn't get it out. But he could. Because he knew the bloke who was operating the vice. And then he threw it in the lake, and there was another bloke in a frogman outfit who had, apparently, and I know this to be true because I met Ali Bongo. Paul Daniels just got away with all kinds of historical inaccuracies. Time and time again.
Otherwise, we would love him.
Sorry for rabbiting
Then
on.
the lance.
Rabbiting on, that's the whole point of the show.
Short for Rongo Maynard, but he called it wrong. His lance was known as Wrong. True fact that is true. His helmet was called Goose White. True.
Come on, Goose White.
His armour... Now that's Norton. You see, Graham Norton's being recorded next door. We don't do helmet humour here.
Oh, what a wrong prediction that was.
These are definitive, absolute facts for a myth.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, and his war cry
Yes.
was Clarence.
Clarence!
Again, true.
Me and Ron and Jeff and Bernard and Harry those were coming.
What are butter hamlets? Butter hamlets, 2 words. Yes.
They're hamlets where the two solid flesh is already melted.
Oh, that's awfully good.
It's not funny, but
10 for being literate. Yeah, 10 for having read a book and not masturbated like Eddie.
A little village where they haven't got any fridges and all the milk's gone a bit off.
So does milk doesn't when it goes off to butter?
Does it?
Yes.
Maybe.
That would be a yogurt Hamlet.
Well, butter hamlets are small, brightly coloured tropical fish. Butter hamlets are simultaneously male and female and mate by intertwining with another butter hamlet.
That's awfully
And there
entertaining.
is a spookily similar species of fish called I can't believe it's not butter hamlet. So our next question, what is the 6th most popular name for a baby boy in Germany?
Hans.
Klaus.
No.
Adolf.
Oh, he said Adolf. That was 10.
No, Klaxon.
The answer is, in fact, Tim.
Tim!
No.
Tim. In 1992, the French government relaxed their ruling on the formal list of what French children could be legally christened. Marie-Claire, Jean-Marie, Tintin, Barbar, Comte de Frou-Frou. And the following year, the most popular name for a baby French boy was Kevin. What is
Kevin
Richard
and
Gere's
Tim.
middle name?
Gerbil. Even as I said it, I knew. I just knew.
It's either Richard or Gere, would be my guess.
The answer is Tiffany. I want to quit with this thought, that the name of the Director of Planning and Strategic Development at Aberdeen City Council is Mr. Peter Cockhead.
And isn't he
In 4th
glad?
place, Bill with 15. In 3rd place, Alan with 25. In 2nd place, Eddie with 31. But way out in front, with 35 points, Mr. Kit Hesketh-Harvey.
That seems awfully quick.
We come to history now.
Oh, that's just halfway.
Kit, let's start with you. The first man ever to die in a train crash, as you may well know, was the MP William Huskisson. But some years earlier, he had narrowly survived death from a different cause. What was it?
Pig falling on his head? Was it one of those
My
Graham Greene?
God!
Was it?
We have individual questions here. This is a completely different format.
Pig falling on a man's head. This is
Which
so
is the
close.
most absurd death possible.
That's right. Well, you're very, very, very close. A horse fell on his head during his honeymoon.
Did you know that Stephenson's rocket, it was almost certain that if you were in a passenger carriage going over 30 miles an hour, you'd suffer irreparable brain damage. In order to protect people from this site, they had to erect fences alongside the track all the way along.
15 points, that man. Very good indeed.
Quite
With that,
interesting.
quite interesting.
Quite interesting.
And that's all we're after.
Stevenson's rocket was made out of soot. Moulded in... Ah, fuck it.
What use did Victorian gentlemen have for badgers' willies?
Now, I know something
Apart
about
from the obvious
badgers,
one.
which is that they come out at night,
Yeah.
and also the badger's
big
willy,
is
I would
badger's
think,
willy?
would be about that big.
Yeah? Yeah.
And I don't...
If memory serves.
The only thing I anything I could think you could use something like that for would be as a cap for a big biro.
I like that.
You know, foxes, I think, have a kind of a little notch on the end of their willy, so once they're in,
Yes.
they can't come
Like a
out
barb.
again.
Bifurcated.
Yes.
Yes, that's the correct
That's how you
term.
feel, anyway.
Bifurcated.
Yes. Most marsupials.
Oh, you mean it goes in and then kind of goes
Like this.
like that?
So you can't actually pull
Like
out.
one of those plastic clips on your little rucksack.
Yep. Well,
That thing.
the men in Borneo use that as a sort of sexual aid. They push a sort of stick through the end of the glans penis.
They do that on purpose on their own
Very
willies.
good.
Yes, they do.
20 points to Bill.
No, that's absolutely right. It's quite interesting.
If the badger's little willy has got a bifurcating thingy on it,
Which it hasn't, I'm here to tell you.
they might have
Yeah.
used it for getting the lids off jam jars.
Pig's willy is a spiral, aren't they?
Yes, little curly one.
Fascinating to see a pig have sex. It's a...
Tell you what
Ducks
it is. and it
are.
is quite
Ducks have
interesting.
corkscrew penises,
Victorian
but
gentlemen
do
wore
pigs?
them as tie pins. all male primates, except man, and nearly all mammals, have a bone in their penis called the baculum. And they're the perfect length, as you can see, to span the gentleman's neckwear.
No, that's a chicken wing.
No, it's a chicken, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what were they doing with the badger that they cut its willy off and got the bone out and went...
They really...
Do you know what I think?
Did they work through the bones of the badger going, well, I think it's willy work. Yes, it's very good. The British Empire and everything.
Let's have a bottle of wine. Oh, I haven't got a corkscrew. Get me that pig's willy.
Well, now, Bill, your question.
Yes.
What was rectal inflation in Victorian England?
Trout was the best way of curing constipation. I've no idea.
I think it's when arseholes went right up in price.
Did the bottom fall out of the market?
Was it a medical procedure to relieve some kind of pressure?
More than pressure, it was considered a life-saving intervention. The answer is blowing tobacco smoke up people's bottoms as a means of resuscitating the drowned. It was believed that this would help them. It may have been invented by desperate schoolmasters, I don't know. It does sound like something that ends with the words, my lord.
Yes. What were you doing down there, boy? I was saving him from drowning.
Eddie, how did Victorians who couldn't afford chimney sweeps clear the soot from their chimneys? Making a vacuum would be a rather expensive procedure.
Well, some of these poor people were very advanced scientists.
Right.
And they dealt with its O-level.
They would place a badger in the grate of the chimney and then say, do you know, I really think I could do with a tie-pin. Shoot up the chimney.
They did in the 1930s, they tied a goose by the legs and dragged it up, and the goose would go,
This is the right answer once again.
What?
It's not a million miles away.
Poor people have goose access?
So actually, I'm not a million miles away.
You weren't a million miles away.
But hang on.
Wrong animal.
These are poor people, but the whole price of the goose we've known from Oliver Twist. That's an incredibly expensive
The only
thing.
book you've read
How could
that.
they afford a goose?
You're not thinking of Christmas Carol?
Yeah, get that one as well.
Yes, yes, right.
I've only read one.
Yeah, well,
They're all Oliver Twist.
I'm not picking on you, Eddie. It just, yeah, we'll certainly have 5 points for not knowing the difference between Oliver Twist and the Christmas Carol. Let's have a look at the scores. In fourth place, Alan on 45, but where to the lead on 80 points? Kit,
sorry.
Kit.
Another round?
Here is a selection of contemporary Dutch. I'm sure that you already know. Did you know that koksmuts is the Dutch for a chef's hat?
Well, wanklank is repetitive strain injury.
Honk, a Dutch for house. A honk.
Honk is home, absolutely.
Then could not then prunk be like shed or something? Or
If there were an underground station in Amsterdam, there is in fact, of course, there is a metro, they would shout, let op, close.
clove? Oh, stand clear, doors closing. Stand
Mind
by.
Mind the gap.
Mind the gap.
Is a gap. Exactly right. Lonk actually means to ogle. Interesting, the word ogle might give you a clue as to what oog or ugh means.
Eyes to
Eyes! Good! Vanklank means...
It sounds like onomatopoeic.
It's
So
actually right.
Is it? So it's like the sound of something making a venklink.
Yes.
A venklink.
Yes! It's a discordant noise.
Was it?
Yes.
It's like a sort of a
Oh,
noise.
yes. 15 points for that. Fantastic. Very good indeed.
Well, all right. I had no idea on any of those, and I'm half Dutch.
I feel I'm lagging behind.
Yes.
Can I bring in an interesting fact that I remembered before I came on?
I want you to.
Do you know that if dogs eat toothpaste, they hallucinate?
Ooh. Really?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Bloke down the pub.
As they say, as you will hear them say on Dutch radio, dat was the news, which is the Dutch for that was the news. The word thespian, what does that mean to a Greek? Or did it mean what?
Taxi
The
driver.
one from Thesmos.
Well, of course, it means actor now, my darling. We know that.
Does it mean waiter?
Unemployed.
Very pleasingly, thespian is the Greek for awful.
Oh.
In the sense of awe-inspiring, hence also divine.
There's a lovely John Wayne story, isn't there, when he was playing the centurion in the Bible, and the director said to him, when he said, "This was the Son of God," and he said, "Could you say it with more awe?" And he said, "Awe, this was the Son."
Very nice, 5 points, because I've heard it many times. But since the Danish word for king is Kong, in Denmark, King Kong is known as Kong King. There you are. Way out in the lead at the moment, it's Bill on 107 points.
Most points ever.
To keep King Kong out, they built a huge door. Now, why didn't they just build a little door?
Oh, if I could go out the door, I'd get you all.
Bill's blowing my mind right now.
Socrates was the wisest of all Athenians on the grounds that he alone knew that he knew nothing. But you, my dear panel, have surpassed the great philosopher. In that not only do you know that you know that you know nothing, but you have also managed to prove it. We conclude with a round entitled General Ignorance.
They kept general ignorance.
About the Delphic oracle. She made her pronouncements on a tripod with smoke issuing from her vagina.
Really?
So whether there was a Victorian gentleman blowing from the other end.
15 points.
Burning bush.
Socrates, Burning bush, 5 points. Now, we're going to have to hurry, ladies and gentlemen, because there's so little tape left, and we put it on short play, which was foolish. We should have put it on long play. So, what is the highest mountain in the world?
Everest. Yes, Everest.
No, Mount
minus 10 to all of you. It
Mauna
is not.
Kea.
Oh, the Marianas Trench.
Well, that is
Upside down.
Yes, Everest is actually the third highest mountain in the world, depending on how you calculate it. The highest mountain in the world, and the world's largest volcano, is in Hawaii, and it's called, oddly enough, for the highest mountain in the world, Mount Loa. 5,000 metres below sea level. It continues, and a further 8,000 metres under the seabed, which is where the mountain starts, making it almost 55,000 of your Earth feet tall. But even Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa is higher than Everest. On 2 counts, not just 1, but 2, ladies and gentlemen.
If you measure from the centre of the Earth.
African plain.
This is a quick fire.
Whereas Everest...
Well,
Anyway.
why did we go on about Everest then? Why did
Because that's it. This is it. This is what this programme is trying to expose ruthlessly, is the fraudulent, systematic deception
Everest
played on the world's
It's been
population.
cheating us.
Oh, listen, we must hurry because the tape is running fast.
We're running out of tape.
Team are black boxes.
Orange.
Correct. They were black until 1965, when someone pointed out that they never seemed to be able to find them in a record. What is eaten in the city of Genoa that is generally not eaten almost anywhere else in the world?
Orecchiette Genovese.
Oh, it sounds good, but it's not true.
I've just made that
It's
up.
rather sad answer, I'm afraid. And a lot of people go, ah, when they know the truth.
Carpets?
Horse.
Little chicks.
Dear little baby seals.
No. Close. It's a mammal. It's a marine mammal.
Baby dolphins.
Dolphins is the right answer. I'm afraid the Genoese do. The dolphins, which are of the Tertiop species, are well known for their friendliness and docile character, and are delicious. What is it illegal to do in the sea around Greece, which is not illegal in almost any other?
Olivia Newton-John.
Have sex?
No, the answer is poo. Scuba dive. Because they're paranoid about people stealing their antiquities, many of which
they
are
all get
underwater,
up?
indeed. In 4th place, Alan with 118. In 3rd place with 125, it's Kit. In 2nd place with 131, it's Eddie. But by 1 point, this week's winner is Bill with 132. When 2 men stole 6 sheep from a farm at Munford in Norfolk, they found they could only get 5 of them into the back of their van, so the other one had to sit in the cab between the 2 men. Fearing that the sheep sitting in the cab might be conspicuous, they disguised it by putting a trilby hat on its head. I come from Norfolk too. Goodbye.
That was a lot of fun. It's always really cool to look at a true pilot and the show it turns into. To see what works, what gets changed, what they cling to, what they fix. There's a lot of elements of the show we're all so familiar with that are there right from the very beginning with the pilot. The theme music, it's right there. The logo is halfway there. The font of the I is definitely identical, that very square career style font. General Ignorance is named. The scoring system, however, much more generous here and much more apparent. it was changed, and it became very much occluded into the background of the show. And there's certainly not these like updates after every round. And I don't think anyone's ever approached a score of over 100 in the actual show itself. But these are the things that you sometimes need to work out when doing a pilot. What are people interested in? Are they interested in the scores as much as they are in the banter? Or is it more about whipping through as many questions as possible? And I mean, we've all watched enough episodes of QI to know that it's the banter that really ultimately ends up mattering much more than getting some facts out. But I dig this. I love that Alan Davis and Bill Bailey are there from day one. I know when I'm recording this, Series T has just recently begun. I know that Bill was in the first episode because a bunch of you told me, and you told me that he received a special award because that appearance tied him for the most appearances of any guest on the show. A rather mind-blowing 46, I think it was, which is kind of crazy because T is the ZYXWV is like the 20th letter. So in 20 series, Bill's been on 46 times. That's kind of bonkers. But he shares that honor with Phil Jupitus, and he got half of the certificate that they originally gave Phil when he set the record a few years earlier with 43. In any case, I love that Bill's there from the very beginning. I love that Alan's there from the very beginning. As far as I can tell, he's just a guest in this episode. He's in his familiar seat. He never left. Obviously, the set itself has evolved. It's a much simpler set here. They haven't invested in the big screens behind or the fancy ringed logo with all the different forms of writing and whatnot that we're all so familiar with. But ultimately, the show's not that different. I love that Steven's cards aren't even cards. They're just like pieces of semi-translucent paper, so you can even see the klaxon answers marked out in Sharpie on them from behind. It was done on a budget. They were on slow play. They had 35 minutes of tape, and that's all they had to work with. But I love seeing this. I love that it never made it to air, but it's still the birthplace of this idea. It's kind of special, and it's kind of crazy that this was how many years ago? 20 years ago. And yet this still happened in the 21st century. I mean, part of it's the resolution. I'm seeing it on YouTube, but it feels like it's the 80s, but of course it isn't. But nevertheless, a generation ago, and this show's still going strong. Not really that changed that much, considering how much time has passed. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to check it out. And I'm looking forward to a new year full of new QI adventures. I'm still working my way through my recommendation list. That list never approaches being complete because whenever I knock off a few episodes, I get recommendations for more new ones. I'm still working through them. If you have recommended one in the past and I still haven't gotten to it, just to be safe, mention it again in the comments. I'll add it back to the list. I only say this because one of my patrons was very patient with me. They had made a request early on, joined, and then months later they followed up and said, "You still haven't done my request," and I apologize. And I'm like, that's really weird because on my notes it says I've done it, so I must have accidentally crossed it off at some point. I don't pretend to have a perfect system here, guys. I'm a one-man army. I occasionally err. But yeah, my point being, don't be afraid to ask for it twice. I won't penalize you for being eager to see a particular episode. But let me know in the comments if there's any that you'd like to see me react to. By the time this comes out, Series T will be in full swing, so I'd love to know which particular episodes from that series are worth checking out. Let me know as well. I'll jump right into those. Those will be fun. And yeah, until next week, everybody. Take care. Stay healthy. We'll see you soon. Cheers.